Hello twin flames, welcome to my channel and welcome to a daily energy check. And of course, welcome back to our usual setup. Happy New Year to those who haven't checked into the videos this year just yet. There's already been a lot going on astronomically, energetically. We had our mighty 1-1 portal. I did a separate reading for that. Please check it out. I was in Sweden for a week. It was amazing. I'm now back and ready to kick off my new projects, new plans. Have so much in the works. I am changing my partnership with Bold and Brave TV, so the programs are gonna be different. If you're a podcast person, you're probably gonna find it even more suitable for the podcast format because we're building a new partnership with Spotify around that project. And of course, I have lots and lots in plan in terms of coaching, mindfulness, and wellness, different topics. I am creating a guide towards practical wellness, where you can actually follow it, and it is for 30 days to transform your life into a more mindful, more conscious life, essentially, right? Because we talk about it a lot, but then when it comes to, we speak about many mindful practices in the show. By now there's so much already in the playlist, which by the way is in the description box if you want to check out previous episodes. In 2024 I recorded so much on different topics with some practical steps, but when it comes to specifically taking steps to change your life, especially if you're just getting started, if you're new to these topics, it may get overwhelming. And as human beings, whether we like it or not, we like to have some kind of instruction, so we can follow some steps, so we know how to do this. So also that different aspects of it don't overlap each other in a negative way. So my guide will be just that, and you'll be able to get it for free. You will also be able to get into a new sweepstake for the reading, so a lot of fun stuff like that, to get a personal reading from me, I mean. But for now, let's get on with the reading. Let's see what do we need to know about the twin flame energies. Taking the breath. I still need to take care of my setup a little bit post Christmas. Like I have this candle here that's just gorgeous, just to be a Christmas tree, but because it didn't actually had like like a stand or anything of its own, that it kind of melted onto the rest of my stuff. So I need to clean it up a little bit, but I'm here and I wanted to make sure that I do the reading today. And I'm continuing to record readings for January horoscopes too, because there was just too much going on before I left and I didn't have time. I definitely didn't have time while I was on the trip, and I thought to myself, it's perfect, because I actually don't want to be in that place where, I'm spending quality time with loved ones and enjoying nature in Sweden, and then all of a sudden I have to drop everything and go and record the video, or try to fit it in instead of, resting and having fun for New Year's. So I took my time, but I am back. So I think there's something like 7 readings out of 12 already published, and I'll do the rest of them today and tomorrow, most likely. Feminines, your oracle message is the peaks of joy. I love this. This is number 33. This is a master number, and it is like a master teacher kind of number. It's also about creating blueprint of new reality. It's kind of like having a vision, being a visionary, but in a more practical way. So make sure that when you're creating your vision, feminines, that the joy is part of that recipe, that it's part of it, right? Peaks of joy don't just need to happen, once a year, maybe a couple of times a year, right? They need to become your regular practice. They need to become almost like a separate, I don't want to say activity just because you don't want to schedule those, right? But they need to be a regular thing. So make sure that you're considering that, as you're accounting for that in your upcoming plans, goals, and intentions. We had new moon on Monday, so we're still in that energy, right? We're still, and especially with 1-1 portal, we're still planting seeds for the new beginnings, and we're figuring out what is it that we want to bring in. For masculines, we have number 46, coming apart. So you could feel like you're coming apart with a specific person, or maybe even people in general at this time. Don't worry about it. The universe is giving you time and space to figure stuff out for yourself. And it seems that from the energy that there's a lot to figure out, right? Because, you know, sometimes we feel if we're in a difficult position, if we're under stress, that we want to be with somebody else, for that person to support us. But the truth is, and once you get to a certain point of awareness, of consciousness, where you can actually feel safe with yourself and you can give yourself that help that you may need in the moments of stress, then you realize that more and more so that you need that time and space to be able to grow, to be able to draw conclusions, to even have insights and downloads, right? Because when there's another person next to us, we're still one way or another. First of all, energetically, it creates a new field that includes both of us. And secondly, our focus is still very much on the other person. Even if it's about us telling them a story, we're still expecting some kind of response from that. Or us crying on their shoulder, you know, like it's still that kind of a dance of two energies, right? And for this one, you are being moved apart from somebody or even something, right? Maybe it's a job that you finally quit, or your boss said, you know what, well, we're hiring someone else in your position, right? And it may feel like a disaster. It may feel like your world is collapsing, right? But it is done for a reason. It's done for you. And there is definitely that space and that capacity that you need to have in order to be able to figure out something very, very important in your life that you couldn't with that old way of things. I am doing the Light Seer Tarot for the main read today. I missed the deck very much, so there we go. It's happening. Bottom of the deck, the Moon. The Moon is the energy where we are facing our feelings and emotions. And I would just add, post-holiday, we've done Christmas, we've done New Year's, Hanukkah, whatever you guys are celebrating, maybe even something completely different. But we're now getting back into that kind of work mode, into the active mode, into our habits, into our, regular schedule of the day, let's call it that way. Whatever that is for you, right? So we're getting back into kind of like the grind of it, right? Like, oh, there's so much to do, especially, after you take a break, there's still, whether you like it or not, there's still some stuff that's built up, or maybe it's just that you need a little more time to get into it again. And it's like everything takes longer. It's a little frustrating. Trying to remember what was the last email you sent, the last conversation you had. Like all of these things, they create certain kind of separation anxiety, right? And kind of separation anxiety from the good time that you had during the break, whether it was with family or with just one partner, or even just by yourself, but you did absolutely everything that you love doing, right? And now your brain is almost saying like, why did we give that up? Why did we have to come back here? This is just terrible. Like, this is heartbreaking. Right, there's a little bit of that energy. And look at that, we also have Seven of Swords here, and Seven of Swords is almost like, where did we lie to ourselves? What's real and what isn't, right? Like, which version of life is the life that I want to live? Especially if you're on a spiritual path, that you may be asking yourself those questions, and you may even be finding that the answers you're hearing are around the life you had during the holidays, and you're like, well, that's the life I want to be living every day, not what I have to do here day in, day out, which is okay. It's fine. It's it's understandable. in many ways. And thank goodness if you had holidays like that where you really enjoyed yourself, you really had that high quality time doing stuff that you loved, being with people that you love, right? And it's definitely great food for thought in terms of thinking, how can I bring myself closer to that version of reality on a regular basis? How can I make that my version of the reality on a regular basis? And there are obviously ways to do it, although it may take longer than a day, a week, a month, right? So for the time being, you're still where you are, you continue with your days, and it's important to see that although your goal may look, your kind of targeted vision of life may be very different from where you are right now, it doesn't take away from the current experience, right? And as part of that fun, part of that magic of how you move from here to there, or if we follow manifestation laws even closer to the book, then it's really not even about a specific picture here. It gets you excited, great. Ride on that energy, create goals, start walking towards those, or riding or running or driving. But it is really, a lot of it is about the process. It's not really about that specific image, and it's likely the image is going to change as you get closer to it, or while you're on your way. Feminines, your energy is 6 of Cups clarified by Hermit. Yeah, so there could be a lot of nostalgia right now, and absence or resistance to, wanting to do stuff. And it's almost like I was saying, your chores have been waiting on you. And, there's a bunch of stuff that maybe you decided towards the end of the year, I can do this later, I can do this in January. Or there's no point in doing this now because everybody's out on vacation or something, right? They're all celebrating. And now you've got that to-do list. And it's like, ouch, do I really have to deal with all of this? Right? So there may be that kind of remembering the good times and wanting to go back there. What I'm hearing here immediately is, well, first of all, hermit mode is a good thing to have. And don't feel pressured by others who are actively working out every day and just out and about, and they do everything, right? And you're like, and I feel like I don't want to get out of bed. That just means that your body is telling you need a little bit of that hermit time. Need a little bit of time to kind of get slowly but surely into that mode. And up to you to decide how you want to do this. Can you do this, right? But you also don't need to jump on everything just because the holiday is over, because your best friend, does all of it somehow and she feels good and she looks good, right? It doesn't have to be the same for you. Also, for some of you, this could be the energy of remembering certain experiences from your childhood and comparing them to where you are now or what your kids are experiencing right now. So yeah, just bring a little more consciousness to that. How does it make you feel, and what conclusions can you draw from that? I.e., you've created life for your kids and holiday experience for your kids that's so much better than what you had because you didn't want to repeat the mistakes your parents made. Maybe, right? But acknowledge that, right? And do a little celebration even within yourself for that, right? Or maybe you had great memories from your childhood during the holidays, right? And you're like, oh my God, that was such a great tradition. Bring it back. Do it for yourself. Maybe do it with your kids, whatever makes sense, right? Those memories are precious. They're telling you something. They're not just a momentary anecdote to tell someone and then forget. They are coming back for a reason. So sit with those. Live through those. Masculines, you have 10 of Pentacles clarified by 4 of Swords. Yeah, so it's been masculines have a lot to accomplish. There are some big goals. That's what I'm sensing. It's almost like masculines are okay, I've been resting far too long, now it's time to go. So a little bit of that beating yourself up energy that I'm sensing. So again, don't beat yourself up, and you don't need to conquer the world in 5 days, right? Maybe you have so many ideas and plans that you want to implement them as quickly as possible. But again, be mindful, be sensible, and remember, if anything, again, as conscious adults, the best and most important thing that we can do is to take care of ourselves, to be a loving and responsible parent, to yourself, right? So if you kind of like take a step back and look at yourself as if you were a parent to yourself, would you still be doing all of those things, you know? Or how would you pace yourself so you still stay healthy physically and emotionally through all of this? Additional question for today is 8 of Wands clarified by 7 of Wands. Very interesting combination, right? So it's almost like, to me, it's almost like the action comes that the twins are taking right now comes from trying to prove something, right? Or how do I put this? It's a little egocentric energy, which is not great, right? It's kind of like, yeah, I can do anything. Or, you know, I promised my sister-in-law that, you know, I'm gonna have this makeover with my fitness and I don't know, my physique in like a month, and I'm doing it, right? Just, it's not a bad goal altogether, but it's not a great motivation to be working with. It's like, in this example, it's probably gonna work for like a month, that, you know, you're doing this to prove something to your sister-in-law. But after that month is over, it's gonna be goodbye. It's gonna be really, really hard to get yourself into that routine, exercise routine, to continue with it, right? So the story we're telling ourselves actually makes a big difference. Feminists, what do you need to know about it? You have the Justice and the Hangman. Again, you know, interesting combination, especially because this is number 11, this is number 12. Major arcanas. So, feminists, the main thing that you need to know is you are being guided into this. But the main lesson you're learning with all this new amazing actions that you want to take is how to stay in balance. Balance between taking action or just being an observant. Balance between rest and putting your energy into something. Balance between me and we kind of time and activity, and balancing those energies, right? There's a lot here at stake in terms of how you do it. It's super important. Like, that's emphasized in like capital letters. So make sure that you don't rush into stuff. And if anything, that you do things a little different this time, with more mindfulness, with consideration of if it's like, if it's something that I want to be in my life for a long time, or at least like for, I don't know, 6 months, a year, it requires more careful planning, or at least frequent feedback, you know? So like, you do your exercise program for a week, then again, sit down for a moment and think about how it's been for you, every aspect of it, how often you do it, what exactly you're doing, how does it make you feel, what does your body tell you, right? Like all these little things. What about nutrition, hydration during this time, pre and post workout? I'm just giving you examples, but you know what I mean. Like, these aspects are important. For masculines, what do they need to know? They have Ace of Wands clarified by 4 of Wands. Masculines just want to go for it. And for some, the part of that resistance or that ego is that they are afraid deep down. It's a lot on the plate. They understand how big it is. But it's almost like they want to prove to themselves that that fear is not going to stop them, which might be somewhat unhealthy. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but I'm saying that it may create some bumps on the road down the line where you'll be regretting certain things just because of this hype, of this energy that you're riding. Then you made some decisions of like, what is this next step, or how do I express my passion to my partner, right? Wherever you are in the journey. How are feminine seeing the connection at this time? The Fool clarified by 5 of Cups. I already spoke about this energy at length. There's definitely a new phase and a new beginning, and feminine see a lot of potential with the masculines in this new energy. But the 5 of Cups is also here, which is like, you know, a little bit of a fear, really, what this new phase is going to be like. And missing some of the stuff, especially if you had those good times with your DM in the past. And now it's like, oh, I'm different, my DM is different. Does that mean we're never gonna have those kind of times again, right? It's like this unknown that is somewhat scary. Almost like wishing for like the good old days when, you know, it was a simpler time kind of vibe. masculines, how are they seeing connection with the feminines? We see Queen of Swords and the Hierophant. Yeah, so for masculines, definitely a big topic is how do we make it official? What are we going to tell people? Like, what is this like? Especially if there are some unusual circumstances of you getting together, getting into this next step commitment, whether it's moving in together, getting married, relocating to be together, whatever it is, it's pretty big, right? And masculines are contemplating, like, what would that story be for others? Not to say that they care about it too much, like they may not do it, but they still feel there is an obligation to tell a story. Maybe because they have kids, maybe just like to their friends and family, because they know if they don't really have a, you know, a plausible story, then they're gonna be in distress, or they're gonna try to talk the DM out of it or something else. Like they are gonna create chaos around it, right? And masculines, on the one hand, they want to be very honest and put the truth out there. On the other hand, they understand that the story must make sense in a more conventional sense, that, you know, that most people are going to be looking for that kind of story that makes sense within their perspective on life, within their viewpoint. So that's what masculines are contemplating while they're apart and while they have the time. Okay, this is what happens when I don't talk to you guys for a couple of days. Now we got a long reading. I apologize for that, but somebody needs to hear all those messages. And if you like what I'm doing, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And until next time.